So imagine you're holding a glass of water, just a normal glass.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
If you hold it for like a minute, it's absolutely no problem at all.
Right, it's practically weightless.
Yeah, exactly. But if you hold that same glass for a whole day, your arm becomes completely paralyzed. I mean, the water didn't get any heavier, but your refusal to put it down just becomes agonizing.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're starting today. Welcome to Vedic Wisdom for Modern Life. Today, we are exploring desire, attachment, and suffering explained through the Vedas.
It's a really important topic.
It really is. Because, if you think about it, whenever we feel frustrated or anxious or just profoundly stuck in life, our first instinct is usually to look outward.
Oh, always.
Right. Like we point the finger at a difficult coworker or a delayed flight or a relationship that just isn't going exactly the way we mapped it out in our heads, or even just the general uncertainty of the future.
Yeah, we say, the problem is out there.
Exactly. The automatic response is to say, that situation out there is why I'm suffering in here.
And, I mean, the water glass is the perfect visual for this because it actually acknowledges that life does hand us real weight.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
changing circumstances and difficult events are a reality. The Vedic wisdom does not deny that pain exists.
Right. It's not saying bad things don't happen.
Exactly. But it does gently ask you to look, more deeply at that reflex of blame. It poses this really profound question.
Which is?
Is your suffering always created by the outer event alone? Or is the vast majority of it intensely magnified by the way your own mind clings, demands, and just absolutely refuses to put the glass down?
Wow. Yeah, and I want to make sure we set the right tone here right out of the gate, because this isn't about, blaming you for your pain.
No, not at all.
It's actually an invitation to inner freedom, because if your peace of mind is entirely dependent on the outside world behaving perfectly, I mean, you are going to be waiting forever.
You basically give away all your agency. The Vedic tradition reminds you that suffering often deepens, not because life has denied you everything, but because the mind has made its peace, dependent on things that simply cannot remain steady.
Because things change.
Right. Circumstances change, people change. And to understand how we end up trapped in that cycle of suffering, we really have to rewind the tape to see how it starts.
Okay, let's rewind it. Where does it start?
Well, it rarely begins with a massive dramatic crisis. It starts incredibly quietly, with just a tiny spark of desire.
And desire seems so harmless at first, right? Like we're just going about our day, we see something and we want it.
Yeah, and the sheer subtlety of that beginning is what makes it so powerful. Desire begins merely as a simple movement of attraction.
Just a pull.
Exactly. Your mind sees an object, or maybe hears a suggestion, or even just remembers a past experience, and a small voice within says, I want this.
Which feels totally normal.
It is. At that initial stage, it's just a passing thought. The danger lies in what the sages called repeated inward permission.
Okay, let's unpack this. What does that repeated inward permission actually look like in, the actual mechanics of the mind?
It's the process of the mind returning to that passing thought again and again, and basically feeding it with attention.
Oh, like obsessing over it a little?
Yeah, you decorate it with fantasy. You start imagining how much better life will be once you have that new house or that promotion or, that specific person's approval.
You're kind of rehearsing the future.
Precisely. And through this repeated permission, you are taking an optional preference and slowly hardening it into an absolute necessity.
Wow.
And that is how bondage quietly takes root.
Okay, I have to push back a little on behalf of everyone listening, though.
Go for it.
Isn't desire just a completely natural part of being alive? I mean, we have to want things to survive, to build a career, to raise a family. Like, if we didn't desire food, we'd starve.
Yeah,
It's kind of like wearing a backpack on a hiking trail. You need the backpack. It holds your water, your map, your tent. But at what point does that necessary gear just become a crushing weight that prevents you from actually walking the trail?
I love that. And taking that backpack analogy one step further,
Mhm.
the Vedic sages completely agree that you need your supplies.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they never rejected life or duty or effort. They fully recognized that life itself includes natural needs and aspirations.
Right.
The key here is recognizing the structural difference between two very different types of want.
Mm.
So there's rightful desire, and then there's binding desire.
But like in the heat of the moment, wanting a career milestone can feel just as urgent as wanting a glass of water. So how do we actually distinguish between the two?
Well, rightful desire aligns with dharma. It arises within clarity and supports your natural duty in the world.
Just to pause on Dharma for a second. So we're talking about our fundamental nature and purpose, right?
Yes.
Like how fire's Dharma is to burn. A human's Dharma might be to create or nurture or contribute to their community.
That is a highly accurate way to frame it, yeah. Dharma is the essential nature of a thing and the right action that upholds harmony.
Got it.
So when your desires serve your Dharma, they propel you forward healthily. And most importantly, if a rightful desire is unfulfilled, it doesn't destroy you.
Oh, that's a big distinction.
Right. You can accept the outcome without an inner collapse. Binding desire, on the other hand, clouds your clarity. It begins to rule your life, whispering a very specific demand into your ear.
Which is?
It says, without this, you cannot be at peace.
Oh, wow. So when desire crosses that line, it becomes identity. You stop simply having a desire and you become someone who must have it to feel complete or worthy.
Exactly. And when desire shapes your identity, disappointment isn't just a setback anymore. It feels like an existential threat.
Because we end up asking like a temporary job or a changing relationship to give us eternal security.
Yes.
It's like trying to use a software patch to fix a broken hard drive. You're applying a temporary external solution to a fundamental internal hardware problem.
And that structural mismatch is exactly why the mind breaks down. When we let our identity get entangled in external things, it sets off a very specific, totally predictable chain reaction.
Okay, walk us through that chain.
The sages understood this progression with remarkable precision. It begins where we just discussed.
Right.
The mind dwells on an object.
Right, the repeated permission.
Yes. And because it dwells, attachment forms. From attachment, the desire strengthens into an intense craving.
Okay, so it builds.
It builds.
Yeah.
And then, inevitably, because life is unpredictable, that desire is obstructed or delayed.
Something gets in the way.
Exactly. And when obstruction happens, inner disturbance and frustration begin. As that disturbance grows, your clarity and wisdom weaken.
Wait, let me stop you there.
Sure.
I really want to dig into the mechanism of that specific link, the link between obstruction and the loss of clarity. Why does not getting what we want actually make us lose our wisdom?
Because of how the ego interprets the obstruction. When your identity is totally wrapped up in obtaining something,
Right.
and that thing is blocked, your mind doesn't just register it as a logistical problem.
It takes it personally.
Exactly. It registers it as a threat to your survival.
Mm-hmm.
Your internal alarm bells go off. In modern terms, your fight or flight response activates.
Oh, so you're biologically reacting to a missed promotion like a tiger is chasing you.
Yes. You literally lose access to the higher reasoning parts of your mind because your ego has convinced you that you are under attack. Your vision narrows entirely onto the thing you are being denied, and all broader perspective, all wisdom just vanishes.
And the crazy part is, we don't just suffer at the very end of that chain.
No, not at all.
We suffer along the way. We suffer the entire time. We suffer while we're waiting for the object. We suffer while we're fiercely protecting it.
We do.
We even suffer from the anxiety of potentially losing it right when we are holding it in our hands. You know, you finally get the status or the money, the house, and instead of permanent stillness, you just feel fear.
Because the flame of wanting just changes form. The mind immediately pivots from, I want this, to, what if someone takes it away? What if it's not enough? The suffering is actually baked into the attachment itself, not just the loss.
So what does this all mean for us today? Because we live in an era that practically runs on this exact chain reaction.
Oh, completely.
We are constantly told that we are incomplete. I mean, you open your phone, and within seconds, you are bombarded with images of people who have more money, better vacations, more symmetrical faces.
It's relentless.
It is. The modern world essentially weaponizes this Vedic chain. The algorithms are literally designed to capture the mind's tendency to dwell, turning passing thoughts into constant vibrating agitation.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the modern environment is an incredibly efficient machine designed to manufacture desire. It profits from your inner unrest.
Right.
Without inner discipline, the modern mind is so easily manipulated into craving things, not because the soul actually needs them, but because repeated exposure has trained the ego to crave them. You tie your self-worth to highly visible, incredibly fragile symbols of success.
And as painful as that treadmill is with material things or career goals, I think the place this chain of suffering really devastates us is in our relationships.
Without a doubt.
Because we tragically mistake attachment for love.
Yes, this is one of the deepest confusions of the human heart. Vedic wisdom draws a sharp, illuminating line here. Love gives space, while possession grips.
Love gives space, possession grips.
Yes, Love serves the well-being of the other. Possession serves the insecurity of the self.
I hear the theory on that, but honestly, speaking as a parent or even just as a partner, I don't know how to turn off that fear.
It's really hard.
It feels biologically hardwired into us to be terrified for our kids or to worry deeply about our partners. I mean, we are culturally taught that worrying about someone is exactly how we show them we care. We equate anxiety with devotion.
We absolutely do.
So if I don't cling, if I stop worrying, doesn't that mean I'm becoming cold or indifferent? Like I don't actually care.
It's a profound struggle, especially with family. But we have to separate the biological instinct to protect from the egoic need to control.
Okay.
Detachment in the Vedic sense does not mean becoming distant or cold or heartless. It means loving without the inner trembling of fear.
Loving without the inner trembling of fear, that is beautiful.
It really changes everything. A parent naturally protects their child from physical harm. That is instinct. That is dharma.
Sure.
But when a parent becomes intensely anxious about the child's future career or who they marry or how they reflect back on the family, that is egoic control.
Ouch, yeah.
You are asking the child's life to soothe your own internal anxieties.
Right, it stops being about them and starts being about you.
Exactly. A partner can be incredibly devoted without trying to own the inner life of the person they are with. When you strip away the heavy burden of emotional demand and expectation and that terror of change, the love that remains isn't weaker. It is much truer.
Because when you're gripping someone out of fear, they can feel it.
Oh, they definitely feel it.
It doesn't feel like love to them, it feels like a demand. You are basically asking them to carry the weight of your own emotional stability.
Yes, which is an impossible burden.
Right. If your peace is entirely dependent on another person never changing, never disappointing you, and never leaving, you've placed them in a prison of your expectations. True love says, I care for you deeply, but I do not require you to remain frozen in time for me to be okay.
And if we recognize that this gripping causes us and the people we love so much pain, we really have to ask why we are so drawn to this cycle in the first place.
Yeah, why do we keep doing it?
The reality is that we are desperately trying to use the outside world to cure an inside ache.
It's like we are trying to cure spiritual dehydration with salt water.
That's exactly what it is.
We drink it, we feel momentarily full, but then we are infinitely thirstier than we were before.
Because those endless desires we chase are very often covers for deeper subconscious wounds.
Give me an example.
Well, you might seek constant recognition at work, not because you actually love the work, but because deep down you feel unseen. Or you might chase one achievement after another to cover a wound of inadequacy. You might fill every spare second with a podcast or music or scrolling because you are secretly terrified of silence.
We're running from the void.
Exactly. The true longing of the soul is for rest, for truth, for meaning, and for union with the deeper self. But the ignorant mind misreads that sacred longing and it starts chasing worldly substitutes instead.
And it never works.
Never. You get the object, the inner emptiness remains, and the mind just pivots to the next target.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting because everything we are talking about makes profound sense on a philosophical level.
Sure.
But you and I, and the person listening right now, we have jobs, we have mortgages, we have families, and overflowing email inboxes.
Yes, real life.
Right. How does a modern person actually practice this without escaping to a mountaintop or a monastery?
Well, Vedic wisdom is immensely practical. It doesn't ask you to leave your life. It asks you to transform your relationship with your life, right where you are.
Okay, how?
The foundational practice is self-observation.
What does that look like in practice? Like, say I get a highly critical, really stressful email from my boss.
Okay.
My chest gets tight, my breathing gets shallow, and my mind instantly starts spiraling into anger and fear about my job security. How do I observe that instead of getting totally swept away by it?
The moment you feel that physical tightening, the chest constricting, the breath shortening, you use that as an alarm bell to pause.
Just pause.
Yes. Before you draft an angry reply, you catch the mind in the act of spinning the narrative. You step back and ask yourself honestly, is my ultimate peace dependent on my boss's mood?
Probably not.
Right. You observe the physical sensations and the mental panic without immediately identifying with them. You watch the storm rather than standing out in the rain.
Oh, I like that.
Just that simple act of witnessing the desire or the fear begins to loosen its grip.
So you aren't judging yourself for having the reaction?
Not at all.
You're just shining a light on the machinery of your own mind.
Exactly. And the second practice builds on that space you've created. It's choosing gratitude over grasping.
Gratitude over grasping.
Yes. You can appreciate beautiful things, beautiful people, and wonderful experiences reverently without needing to own them.
That is huge.
When something good comes into your life, let gratitude replace greed. Enjoy it, but don't immediately try to lock it in a cage.
It sounds like a large part of the problem is just the sheer volume of things we're trying to grasp.
Absolutely.
Which tells me that if we just stop adding physical and digital clutter, the mind just has fewer things to attach to in the first place.
That realization naturally leads us to the third practice, which is simplification.
Okay, tell me more about that.
The more cluttered your life becomes, physically, digitally, emotionally, the more entangled the mind gets. When you remove unnecessary excess, the mind simply has fewer hooks to get caught on.
So it's not about punishing yourself.
No, simplicity isn't about deprivation. It is a profound form of self-protection.
That makes so much sense. We often think adding things will give us peace, but peace usually comes from subtracting the things that were never nourishing us in the first place. Like unfollowing accounts that make us feel lacking, or clearing out a weekend schedule.
Yes, and the final practice is perhaps the most transformative for modern life. It's offering the fruits.
Offering the fruits.
You still act fully in the world. You work hard, you care for your family, you strive for excellence, but you mentally offer the results of your actions to the divine or to the universe, rather than hoarding them for your own ego.
Oh, I see. So you put in the late hours on a project, you deliver the best presentation you possibly can, but you walk into the room having already surrendered the need for applause.
Yes.
You do your best, and you release your desperate grip on the outcome.
Because you cannot control the outcome anyway.
Right.
When you release that grip, the pressure just evaporates.
Yeah.
You are no longer playing God, trying to manipulate every variable to ensure you get the exact result you demanded.
So to summarize all of this, we don't have to stop living, loving, or trying. We just have to stop asking the world to do the impossible job of completing our souls.
That is beautifully said.
The soul longs for the eternal, because the eternal is the only thing that will never betray us. When we stop demanding that our jobs, our partners, and our bank accounts act like gods, we actually get to enjoy them for what they really are.
And when you taste even a little bit of that inner contentment, desire really loses its tyranny.
Yeah.
You live fully in the world, but you are not consumed by it. You experience freedom with tenderness.
Freedom with tenderness. I love that. Well, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought today. We have spent this time looking at how the mind manufactures its own suffering through attachment and clinging.
We have.
But what if you flipped the perspective entirely? What if you viewed your current struggles, like the specific things you are agonizing over right now, not as random punishments, but as a customized curriculum?
Oh, that's a powerful shift.
Right. What if the universe designed these exact frustrations specifically to teach you the art of detachment? The next time you feel that restless, anxious pull of wanting something before you chase it, just pause. Ask yourself, what is the soul actually trying to remember in this exact moment? What is the real hunger hiding just beneath the surface?
That's the real question.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Vedic wisdom. We hope it helps you find a little more space, a little less clinging, and a lot more clarity. Until next time, take care of yourselves and keep looking inward.